So welcome to everyone joining, and fabulous. We've got 5 people here. I'm delighted to see that. Did anyone come with a question? I know Ali and Katia, I've got a couple of things that you mentioned during the week. So we'll definitely address those. Does anyone want to type in the chat if you have a question or something you're struggling with, or if you just want to raise your hand and you can go first and we can have a chat. So would anyone like to chat first? Oh, here we go. Hang on, someone's typing in. Katia, I still struggle to ask for money in tricky situations like chasing invoices. Right. Okay, Katia, come off mute then and tell us more about that. What happens?
Yeah, I think I am. Yeah, I'm in a shared office, by the way.
Okay.
Yeah, I just really that. I'm getting a little bit better about going, okay, that's fine. This is the invoice. I think it's partly that my business is 2 parts. One is coaching, where people pay up front. And then I feel much more comfortable just saying, okay, well, once the funds are cleared, then we can confirm the booking and all that stuff. But for the training that I deliver, for some reason, the culture seems to be the opposite, where you book the training, you deliver it, and then you invoice them. A bit like if you had another service, like an electrician or somebody, you'd often pay them after the job was done. So I've just started getting sorted with QuickBooks and so on, which has actually meant I'm being a bit delayed. So a couple of the invoices from my side are getting delayed, but that's going to not happen as the year goes on, because then I'll be up to date with QuickBooks. And in theory, that'll be smoother and all of that. And then a couple of them have just not been paid, and I feel a little bit like I'm on the back foot because I sent them out late. And then somebody else asked me for another event, and I was like, oh, I'm really not sure if I can do a second event when you haven't paid me for the first one. So I sent some automated reminders that didn't go anywhere. So then I had to actually talk to actual real people. That much harder, especially by email, and I don't know, all of that mindset thing is quite a challenge. But I'm getting better. But
yeah, so what's the challenge, do you think, in terms of mindset? Why is it difficult to talk about that for you?
I think I feel a bit on. I think I feel I don't have so much leverage because the event has already gone. So I feel I have less leverage, whereas when you're delivering pay me first and then I'll do it, I find that much more comfortable because it's kind of easy to be more straightforward. So it's partly that, partly that these invoices were sent out late. That won't happen in future. And I think there's something else about, I find it frustrating, and then it's difficult to ask for things when you're annoyed without sounding annoyed.
Okay, sure.
So I think, but you don't want to sound annoyed, do you? You want to sound professional and late and all of that.
Okay, so let's talk specifics then. It might be easier to do that, to talk about the one that so is there one that's still unpaid?
There is one, but I actually did, after I sent you this email, I actually then was like, I just have to do this. So I did contact them, and the first email I sent, I tried really hard to be positive, and I still think when I reread it, it was a bit starchy. So then I sent another email saying, oh, sorry, that was such a formal email. And then in the end, they said, oh, very sorry, there's been an admin glitch at our end, and they've been very apologetic. So that's been good. But nonetheless, if they hadn't been positive and apologetic, I think that would have been quite difficult to pursue. And it's partly about the role you're in, right? So you're in one role when you're being friendly and delivering the product, but then it's almost like you put another hat on when you chase up the money. So unless you're a big organization, when you literally have 2 people, that would be the easiest, right? You have a finance person and you hand it over to them and they do all this legwork. But when it's just you feel like you have to switch hats, and you want to be friendly because you want them maybe future work. But then you also need a disposal. Yeah, you also need them to be paying invoices.
You need paying 100%. So something you said earlier was you have less leverage because you've delivered the thing already. And I totally understand that, because you've done it already. You're when you ask for money up front, it's like, well, if you don't pay me, I won't do the thing. That's what you mean, isn't it? When you say about leverage.
Yeah, and I find it easier to send that message politely in a friendly way. I've got a form of words that seems to feel comfortable when you're like, oh, just let me know when the funds are transferred, and that feels easier. I just think the language around, why haven't you sent me my money? It's harder, and I think I might feel a bit disempowered because I've already given the thing, so I feel my position is less powerful.
Okay, so let's think of it from a customer perspective then. So if you'd ordered something, let's say you'd ordered a veg box from the local greengrocer and they delivered it and you'd eaten it. You'd eaten all the stuff inside and now they're chasing you for payment. You haven't paid for it yet. Do you think they have more or less right to ask you for money now that you've eaten that cauliflower and those potatoes?
That's a good point, actually. Yes, they probably do have more right, don't they?
I would say so. And I get what you're saying. I know why it feels that way, that it's difficult to ask for something after you've delivered it. But they've eaten the cauliflower. They've had those potatoes. They had a really nice shepherd's pie with it all mashed on top. And you haven't been paid. So this means that actually you're in a better position to say, just check, and it might help you to draft some sentences that you can just copy paste sometimes, almost as if you are the accounts department. This is what we do when someone hasn't paid yet. We send them this sentence followed by this email, and you can still be friendly, just checking to see, so you can say something like, sorry if this has already been paid, or if our emails have crossed over, but can you confirm the date this will be paid? So tell me the day it's going to be paid. Is it today or tomorrow? Just need to know. And if they don't respond to that, I would try and get a conversation on the phone with somebody, because you can't smile in an email. You can send a smiley face. You can't really smile in an email. It's very difficult sometimes. And I don't know about you, but you can have those kind of situations where you word something and you rewrite it and you still think, oh God, was that stroppy? Was that, am I going to put them off next time? You're never going, if they're late in paying, you're never going to put them off booking you again, because they know they're in the wrong. They know it's not you. They know they have to pay for something they've ordered. Just like you have to pay for the cauliflower you ordered. You're not going to put them off. You could do one of two things. One is have some really standard language that you use in those emails as though you're the accounting department of your own business. Or send the invoice before you do the training and say it's your own policy that you get paid first before the training happens. Because it's up to you to choose what your policies are. It's up to you to choose when you get paid.
Those are all really good points. I hadn't thought about any of that. I was also wondering, I'm just starting work with the VA. I could, in theory, write the email and ask her to send the ones that are from the accounting department.
Do that, yes. Yeah, because then you build some distance between you, don't you? Between your coaching services and nuts and bolts payment stuff.
Really helpful, actually. I've made a few notes. I've just jotted down, you said, sorry if this hasn't been paid already, and then just let me know the date the payment will be made. That's really helpful. I would do that. I would try and draft something around that, like a bit like that. And then I think you're right. I think a million emails isn't very productive, is it? So maybe the next step being phone call is probably the better way.
Yeah, people don't always see emails, and you could, if it is an email, you could say, oh, sorry, you may not have seen the last email, just to let you know, this is now 7 days overdue, 14 days overdue, whatever. Can you let me know when it's going to be paid? It's taking the emotion out of it, because if you were working for a business, they would just want to know, when's that going to be paid, because it's overdue.
Yeah.
It's not emotional. It's just, it feels emotional because the business is running through you, because you're the one delivering. Yeah.
That's all really helpful. Okay, I've made a few rough notes, so when this workshop's finished, I might try and draft a few bits and then set them up.
Yeah.
With my VA. Probably be a couple of weeks, but yeah, that's really helpful. Thank you. Gosh, amazing. Thank you. My brain is slightly exploding, but in a good way. So that's
good.
All new thinking. I really appreciate your help.
Get paid.
Get paid. Very good. Thanks, Marie.
You're welcome, Katia. Good luck.
Thank you. I'll be here in the background listening into everyone else's words of wisdom. So looking forward to listening to the next ideas.
Okay, fabulous. So I'm just looking down the comments now. So Claire Black, you're saying, I have a struggle feeling of immense pressure anytime there's a conversation with my husband about my income. Do you want to tell us a bit more about that, Claire? What's that like?
Yeah, he's in the room next door, so I'm going to try and talk quietly. So anytime it comes up in conversation, he's very supportive of me. I quit my corporate job to pursue what I wanted to do, which is my business, and it's going well. I kind of paid a kind of lump sum of money that I had generated to see my kind of income payments through to the end of last year. And then we agreed that there would be a pay rise in terms of my income coming from the business to our personal account from January, so from this month. And even as I'm talking about it, I can feel it building up. And the pressure is just, yeah, it's just like this feeling of immense pressure. Like I don't know, and it really makes really kind of kick all of the kind of self-doubt around, you know, whether I can actually do this kind of starts to kick in. So yeah, anytime it comes up in conversation about anything related to my income, it's just, yeah, it's a bit of a friction point, shall we say, and completely off, you know, my doing, you know, kind of irrational kind of reaction to it. But yeah, that's what's happening for me at the moment, which is not very helpful.
No,
no.
I can see that. Yeah. So what's happening? Practically speaking, then, so you're going to be giving yourself a rise.
Yes,
from the
pay rise, which is yes, that's right. Yes, which is good.
Behind the decision to do that?
So it's basically when I last year. It was the amount was aligned with what I was earning on maternity leave, and then this year the pay rise is aligned with what I was earning at, like, when I was actually at work in my previous job, not on maternity leave. That's how we based the decision, basically. In terms of the timescales, I don't think there was. I think it was just the start of the new year, and it seemed like a sensible amount of time to be able to build it up. And do you know what? I've got a little pot of money. I've got a pot of money that is, I think it works out at about 4 months worth of that new pay put aside, but it still doesn't stop the feeling of what if I run out? What if, you know, what if I can't pay me? Which isn't doing much good for my overall kind of mindset, if I'm honest.
What if you can't? What if you run out? What if you can't pay you that extra? What would happen?
Nothing. It would get covered. Like the reality is, it would still, you know, bills would still get paid. It would just be how it would make me feel would be the main kind of impact of that, I think. Yeah, which would be like I've failed, not kind of, not kind of stuck to my word, and the fact that, you know, I chose to quit my job. It was my kind of, I was the one that wanted to do that. There's a responsibility, like a bigger responsibility than there probably should be around that, even though actually the reality is it doesn't really, I mean, it does matter, but it's not like we're going to end up, you know, not being able to pay our bills.
Yeah. So as far as the pressure is concerned, it's coming from you. As opposed to...
Yeah.
What are some of the things that he says to you when you say, do you tell him how you're feeling about this?
There's been a couple of occasions, and recently in the last week or so, there was we were having a conversation, and it was about when our plan is to be mortgage free in a couple of years, and when that happens, just, you know, kind of just thinking about what life might be like. Are you thinking about cutting your hours at work? And the response was, kind of depends a bit on what your income is. And for me, it was like, you know, a bull to a red rag kind of thing. It was like, whoa. So yeah, it was completely irrational, really.
So when he says it depends on your income, so our future depends on your income, what does that feel like?
not what did it like, honestly, what did it feel like I don't know, this all I can all the best way that I can describe it is just an immense pressure, responsibility. Yeah, it didn't feel good. My reaction wasn't that good either, if I'm honest. So yeah.
What do you think when he said that, what do you think his intention was?
I talked about my vision, and I've talked about my kind of big goals I have. So completely reasonable, because he knows what money, I intend to be and want to be earning in the future. So that has come from me, saying I'm, which is more than what I'm earning now. So he's just taken that as, but when it's him saying it, I don't know, there's a reaction that it kind of gets in me that isn't very nice.
Yeah, I can totally understand that. It's kind of it's that sort of, it's all right for you to say about your own business, oh well, if I've got enough money, or if I manage to, but it's different if someone else does it. It seems like it's possible. Well, I don't know, do you think it's possible that he's kind of playing back to you things that you've said?
yeah that's what's happening, I think. I didn't see that at the time, but I think now we're talking this through now, I think that's probably where it's come from.
And you didn't see it at the time because it's so emotional, it's just touching a nerve of that responsibility that you're taking, that you have on the amount of money you feel that you can project, that you can make, despite the fact the reality is actually you've got some money put aside. You've prepared for it. This isn't spontaneous. You've thought about this, you've planned it. I wonder what would it be like if you, instead of feeling like, oh, I mustn't bring this stuff up because it's too emotional, what would it be like if you actually tested having a non-emotional conversation about money with him? So you sort of almost, and this could be something you're very open, you could say, oh, I've spoken to this coach about this and I want to try this out. Let's try having a conversation about money and end it smiling. just take away all that stuff that's come, that where it feels like the balance isn't right. Because you're a team.
And our finances are one. There's nothing kind of separate. Maybe that maybe doesn't, maybe that kind of makes it more intense, I don't know. But there's no like, this is mine, this is yours. There's nothing like that at all. I used to earn, decent amount of money before the kids, so I think it probably doesn't help the situation that we were kind of fairly equal, if anything, and now and now that's kind of shifted a bit. So I mean, we do, and we have, and maybe just need to practice that a bit more, take the emotion out of that.
I think that's it. If you can practice almost like having taking that emotion away and not reacting the way that you normally would, almost as if you're taking a step back from that, from the person who instantly would think, oh, this is all about me and my self-worth and how much I can possibly make in my business and how much I can contribute. And actually see it more that it could be a pen and paper conversation about figures. It's so hard when the balance isn't the same, when you are supposed to be a team, you're supposed to be 50-50, you're supposed to contribute, it doesn't always work out that way. all the way throughout your relationship. There's going to be times when one of you is looking after children and one of you is earning more money, and one of you's, your career might zoom in the next few years, and actually he stays more or less the same. And the balance doesn't have, we kind of think that when you're in a relationship, you have to, your balance has to be 50-50 all the way through. But that's not always the case, and sometimes it's all right for you to be the one that's being supported a bit, especially if he's all right with it.
Yeah, definitely is. Yeah.
So, but those conversations, when you have a business, and there's going to be future conversations where it's like, well, it kind of depends how much I earn, but if I earn this much, it might be this. If I earn this much, we might do that. Those conversations need to be had, but actually the more you have them, the less emotional they'll feel. Does that feel? What do you think?
Yeah, I think it would be sensible. And like you say, the more we have those conversations, and I think the more I do it in an intentional way, if that makes sense. Because I think partly some of it is probably timing. If I've got like a launch coming up or something where I'm feeling a bit of pressure anyway, then that's that having that conversation at that time is possibly the time that it's going to trigger that kind of response the most. Yeah, that sounds sensible, I think. Yeah.
And you can try and be really open about that stuff as well. So would you say, if there was a launch coming up and you're feeling a bit, would you say, okay, I want to talk about money, but right now I'm not in the best place emotionally because I've got this launch coming up, just so you know, I might freak out. Do you say things like that to him? Does he know that that's the place you're in?
No. Not at the start. So maybe at the end. Or the day after, like the kind of aftermath. But not I don't kind of start with that. So that's probably something that I could do.
It might be worth a try, mightn't it? And
I think so.
Just being really super open, like, just so you know, this is how I'm feeling today. This might not be the best day for it, just so you know. And then he knows.
And I think it's where there are lots of times where I feel very excited about goals and the plans that I've got, and starting to see little kind of steps fall into place, and I'll share that, and if he's riding off that excitement and curiosity about what might be coming next at a time where I'm feeling like not in that frame of mind, that's where I think it kind of clashes. So it's communication it comes down to, I think, doesn't it?
I think so. And not feeling as though, and just reminding yourself that you're a startup, you're a business that is growing. And that doesn't happen overnight. And that also means that you get to lean on people who want to support you.
I need to remember that, definitely.
Okay. Does that feel better?
Yeah, it does feel better. I'm going to try that out. And he's very supportive. It's just communicating what's going on with me, I think, which I'm not very good at. So it's something I want to get better at generally anyway. So this would be a good way to try that out.
I had to learn to do it when I was in this same position, and we would almost have these very structured conversations where I would walk in and go, I want to talk about money. Is it a good time now? If you're in the middle of something, I know I'm in a position where I need space for this conversation. So if you're busy, we'll do it later, and just kind of be really, really super open. It felt quite strange to begin with. It was so necessary, and I would practice sort of doing it as often as possible, so that when we were talking about money, and there might have been times when I would be saying, I need some money for something, I got used to saying those words and feeling all right about it, and just being, it's practice. Lots of communication.
Definitely. And also to explore with him what if not, then what if there is a month where it doesn't happen, because that's something that we've never kind of got that far in the conversation. So maybe that's something to think about as well. That's really helpful. Thank you.
So a worst case scenario strategy.
Yeah, because I kind of got it clear in my head. Well, there's enough money coming in, it's still getting paid. But to know that he's in that same, of that same opinion as well, will probably make me feel slightly less anxious about the whole thing. So
yeah, you're not on your own.
Awesome.
You're not on your own. You're not on your own financially, and you know that. But you also need to know that you're not on your own emotionally, because you're a team.
Yeah. Fab. Thank you so much. That's really helpful.
Oh, welcome.
Thanks,
Good. Let us know how you get on.
I will, for sure.
Okay. Before I want to talk, Ali, about your family shoots question, but before we do, while we still have everybody, I want to just talk a little bit about my group program, so that I can chat through that, because some people have been asking me about it, and also just while we've got everyone on the call. So I'm doing, some of you already know this, some of you have spoken to me about it already. It is a program called Rise, and it is for 3 months. I'm doing a weird hybrid of evergreen and cohorts, where it will be cohorts, but very small ones. So sort of 3 or 4 people will just start. And then when I get 3 or 4 people who are ready to go, we'll start another cohort. So I'm expecting there will be 2 or 3 groups running every week, at different stages, depending on where they are in that program. Hope that makes sense. So I've called the program Rise, partly because I'm completely obsessed with bread making at the moment, and it just popped into my head because I thought about dough, but also because it'll be your time to rise without limits, finally making really great money doing what you love. So we're going to be solving in this program 3 problems, the 3 big problems that really kind of tend to stop women in service-based businesses from making great money, especially when they're financially supported by partners or husbands. So the 3 problems, the first one is the lack of motivation and self-doubt that creeps in. Both of those things kind of are tied together, where customers really love your services, you've tried lots of things to grow your business, and you know it works, you know the business works, but you're still not earning as much as you might have in a previous paid job, or you're not earning as much as you want. The way that I'm going to tackle that with you is that we're going to be shifting limited money blocks. We're going to be finding them and changing them, creating new money stories, new core beliefs about money, really, and creating a motivational anchor using my 4W approach. All very exciting. Also, we're going to be working to really challenge your beliefs, to change the way you feel about money, the way you feel about invoicing or asking for money or talking about money. All that stuff will change for you, so that you'll have a really good knowledge of why you're holding yourself back from getting more money, knowing how to unblock your limitations anytime they arise, and have new core beliefs. So that's sort of the first piece. The second piece is the second problem is inconsistent months. So that boom and bust, where it really plays havoc with your mindset, making you feel more motivated when you're doing really well and full of self-doubt in the dips. And that kind of perpetuates the problem when that happens. So having to lean on a partner for money or using savings can feel really terrible. So what we would do in that section is we'll be creating a crystal clear vision of your future and break it down. So it's a practical piece. It's also a lot of inner work, where you're going to be using manifesting, visualization, and revisiting money blocks work that we did in the first phase, your new core beliefs, your motivational anchor. But we're also going to be getting really specific and breaking down long-term goals so that they're easier to reach. So there's a practical piece there as well. And the third problem, and then we'll move on, is that it's very hard to find the time to grow your business without working longer hours. And that's really hard for lots of people who have children, or for health reasons, they might only want to work short weeks. So that's about creating a resilient sales mindset so you can feel really confident selling a high ticket offer. You don't need as many clients, because the quickest way to raising your income is going to be charging more, having a high ticket offer, and getting the confidence to be able to deliver that and sell it. So the end result is a resilient mindset for money, selling your service with a new set of rules so that you know exactly how to generate a higher, more consistent income without having to work longer hours. Practically speaking, how that works is 3 months. It's weekly. We're going to be meeting every week on a group Zoom call, except for school holidays. So you'll be busy enough. And I'll walk you through that week's topic every week and help with anything you're stuck on. And then additional stuff, we can jump on 30-minute one-to-ones if you need to go any deeper. And there is a private Slack community as well, where you can kind of hang out with the other people who are in your cohort, if we're calling them cohorts. That's it. I'm going to stop talking about that now. But I just wanted to make sure that you have the details about that, because I've been sort of talking about it variously with individuals. And there's more details on that if you want to just ask me if you want to know anything else. Okay, let's move on. Ali, Photography Ali.
Yeah,
Tell
that's
me
me.
more about this. What's your, tell me all about your pricing stopping points.
I think I'm a teacher by trade, really, and then I went into photography a few years ago, and it's kind of half and half at the minute. So I don't really come from the business world. I come from the teaching world, where you basically teach the kids and then you work your socks off into the evenings and don't get paid for it. So trying to balance that as a headset with, okay, so now I can earn money and charge people is one thing. And two is, like I've put in the chat, the family shoots kind of, I've pitched it at kind of what like a mid-level at the minute from what other photographers do, but quite a lot of people are like, yeah, we want photos of the family, and it seems that money, the initial outlay is like a big, like, okay, and then you don't get back to you or set a date, or yeah, it doesn't get any further. And it's how to, yeah, so it's how to sell that, I guess, as a, it's not just, you don't just get one photo, it's like the whole experience. Like some of the families come and say they like really enjoy the actual experience, the kids play with them and come out and go outside and jump in the trees and run around with them, rather than just go, oh mum, we don't want to go on a walk type of thing. And they get the, you know, the photos as well. And so yeah, it's just how to sell it and make it seem worthwhile for them. So the people who've had it done kind of come back or tell their friends, but it's not a wide enough circle to get a new lot of clients, because like family shoots are something you kind of have done once every blue moon, aren't they? They're not something you have done every year. So it's not like you can set up a Facebook group. It's like all these services you can offer, because people have it done once every like 4, 5, 6, 7, 8 years. So it's not like a regular thing I can be offering something for. So yeah.
Okay, so is the main problem getting people over the line to say, yes, we'll go ahead?
Yeah, I think so.
And so I'm just looking at your message, you're saying it's 68 or 80 pounds. Is that the total amount you charge?
Well, that's for the like 45-minute shoot. And then that's like with the edited gallery and like 2 photos, they get to choose 2 digitals from the gallery. And then there's more, the charges are like £15 upwards, depending on what size photos and prints and whatever else they want afterwards.
Okay, so they pay an upfront fee for the shoot,
yeah,
which is 68 to 80 pounds depending, and then your photographs are £15 each.
Yeah, I mean the digitals start at like £15 each, but some people are like, oh, it's really cheap, but then some people there's like 100 photos maybe in a shoot, so some people are like, we can't choose. So like if they're buying 50 photos, I'll do them like a package deal, rather than £15 for all the 50 photos.
I've got you. Okay. Your shoot is incredibly cheap.
But I'm struggling to get people like paying that much to do it. So another option is to say, right, £250 for the shoot and you get all the photos. But then if people aren't kind of jumping over the line at 60 or 80, I'm not going to get people doing it for 200 odd. So
that's probably your money mindset telling you that, because you will.
Yeah.
But also you might find it easier to sell the whole package, the whole transformation. If you give me 200 quid, you get a shoot and you get 15 photos And here's an example of someone that's had that, and they said, oh, it was great, it was so easy. And just
I've tried sticking the reviews up. With, you know, comments on the Facebook posts, but they're just
crickets. Okay. If you want to stick to this way of charging somebody upfront for the shoot and then charging them for the photographs,
I'm quite happy to try the package thing and see what happens. I've just tried the reviews, and people are like, oh, it's really nice, but don't
go for it. I mean, sometimes sales is a numbers game, so you might just not be getting in front of enough people. But I would say that, I mean, I don't know, does anyone else have any views on this? My feeling is the package deal might be simpler and take away the risk for people. Does anyone else have any thoughts on that? Want to chip in?
I definitely would go for the package. My sister's a photographer. She does packages and she sells on the product. Like, this is what the photo will look like. This is how much it's worth. And that's the price. And all the other stuff that goes into it, the shoot and all the fact you're amazing with kids and all that is just part of what you pay for. That's my half penny's worth.
As in like when you say she shows them the product, as in like the framed photo or digitals, or
well, she just has her marketing is, I could send you the link if you like. She's on Instagram. Cool. She's her Instagram feed is just the photos with consent, either photos she's taken of her own family or photos with consent she's taken of others, and that's it. That's the product. She's got
okay, cool. So I've got photos up.
So that's so the answer is no, not in a frame. This is the product, it's the photo. But I'll see if I can dig out a website. I'll put it in the chat.
Thank you.
As a photographer, I'd definitely advise packages. I mean, I don't do family photography, I do personal branding photography, but I have, back in the early days, tried family photography, and I think from my personal experience, I think putting your prices up will actually give you a different type of client, one that will actually be grateful for what you do and appreciate the hard work that you do. I found that the lower the price, the harder work it was, and the more people complained.
Okay.
I bumped my prices up. My clients became very different, and they were extremely grateful and happy to pay, and I had no questions whatsoever about price.
That's interesting.
So it's I think and that's come through even in my personal branding. If I've ever given a discount, if I've given people less, something for less, I find that they're the ones that come and actually question and want something for nothing, whereas the ones that pay the higher end of my packages, they just pay it. They don't question straight away, and I have no problems with them.
Okay.
So
it's definitely my head then.
It's scary, because I remember being there, but I definitely found that people who paid more were actually much nicer to work with.
Okay, fair play. Wins all round.
I completely agree with that. With Ali, sorry, how cute is your baby? I just have to say that before we lose you again. He's with absolutely adorable.
A hand.
I love it. So there's Ali, there's a couple of links in the comments right now that people have put. Hopefully you've seen those. I completely agree. When people pay more, they appreciate you more. It's just, and I get what you're saying about getting people over the line, and sometimes it's hard to get people to agree to work with you. But it's just as hard, if not harder, to get people to pay £80 as it is to pay £200. It might not feel like it, but it will be, and they will be so much nicer to work with and appreciate you so much more. I think you might be attracting potentially the wrong kind of people, but also people who they think it's not worth much.
Yeah. Because
you're not charging much. Whereas someone who is paying £200 or more, or whatever you decide, there is no right or wrong price. There are family photographers who charge all kinds of different prices. It doesn't matter. You choose what you're happy with. And there's a common misconception that if you keep dropping the prices, you'll get more sales. Actually, it's the other way around. It's so weird, but that's because money's weird, and the way we feel about it. If people look at you and think, oh, it looks really good, but she's not charging much, why not? Why not? Why is it so cheap? They'll question it. Try the packages, try working something out that really does pay you for the time you're putting in.
Yeah.
This is an amazing service. You know, it's not just the photos, it's everything that goes into it, working with people, working with kids, all the rest of it.
Yeah.
You deserve to be paid more for that.
Okay, thank you guys.
Fabulous. Okay, so I'm conscious that we're coming up on the 45 minutes. Claire, did you have anything that you wanted to say? You had something similar where you worked with a friend? And if anybody wants to just jump off, then that's fine.
Yeah, just really quickly, I mentioned you, Ali, to a client this morning, actually, in the context of branding. I'm trying to encourage her to do some brand photos, but I think a package is really good idea, because it's a bit different, I think, with family photos and branding photos, isn't it? Because with the branding photos, you're like, this is a clear investment for my business, whereas with a family photo, it's more of this is a lovely thing to have for our family. So it's about showing the value in a different way, which is tricky. But I would echo all the stuff about packages. I think it's really lovely to pay for what you know is a package, and then get all these lovely photos back, and then go, okay, well, probably half of these are really, really good, and I'm going to use them, and I love them, and the other half might not be perfect or exactly what you want, but it's lovely to have them and you'll use them as well anyway. So I think that's really good. So I hope that helps. But with my friend, I think I'm cool with it. It's been difficult getting the work over the line because she's in Australia. They've all got COVID at the moment. You know, lots of different situations going on there. And I also know that her business is a non-profit and struggling in lots of ways. So I think it's just, it's becoming very business and matter of fact about it, and detaching the emotion. That's really helpful, and just going, actually, this is what we agreed, this is the end of the process.
So what's the situation you're in at the moment? Has she not paid?
Well, we haven't got to the end of the work yet. That's been the slight difficulty. So I've done the bulk of the work, and we just need to have like an hour together on Zoom, just, you know, time things up really, make any tweaks she wants to make on the copy and that type of thing. And we've just not managed to have that meeting. Yeah. And I originally, before Christmas, it was very busy for everyone. So I said to her, like, you know, let's do January. And then I emailed her last week, to say, just checking in, should we get a date in? And she's like, I'm really sorry, we've all got COVID, and you know, this is going on. And just, you know, absolutely fine. But it's just quite difficult then to go, okay, how do I gently drive this to a conclusion without putting pressure on her? And
why don't you suggest a deadline? So you've done all the work and there's just a wrap-up call.
Yeah.
So is it you and her jumping on a call for an hour?
Yeah.
Okay, so it seems as though that's achievable for most people, regardless of the situation they're in, unless she is ill, which it sounds like at the moment. Maybe she's not actually ill at the moment. So I would say let's have our call by this time, by the end of January. So sometime in the next 2 weeks. Here are 3 times I'm suggesting, and give her an agenda for the call that includes talking about money.
Yeah.
So on the call, do you need to give her your final charge based on the work you've done on that call? No. So she knows how much it is.
Yeah.
Okay, so why not then, when you suggest, let's jump on this call, here are some suggested times, I'll send you a separate email about the money so that we keep that separate. So it's kind of, this is coming up, it's about money, and then you can send a separate email from the accounting department of your brain, which is about ahead of our call, here's the invoice, and make sure there's a due date on the invoice. 7 days is fine, but if you want to pick a couple of weeks, a month if you really want to. But I would say a 7-day due date is fine unless there's any particular reason you don't think she could make that. So how would that sound with that approach?
Yeah, that sounds good. I think I've learned that actually saying to someone, you let me know when's a good time for you, is just too hands off.
You need to give them a choice of 2 dates, 3 dates. Yeah,
which I think I've done before with her, and then Christmas and COVID and stuff all happened, which it's happening everywhere at the moment, isn't it? And that's okay. So I almost have to, and then I kind of naturally take a step back, so I go, oh, I need to give you space, whereas actually I could still, in a gentle way, so take that approach.
She probably doesn't need that space, because when you give people space, they'll fill it. So she won't necessarily have you front of mind when she's got lots of other things. So you need to kind of give her a gentle poke, and she won't mind to say, okay, well, what are you doing this time? Think about it this way: if you're looking at your calendar and it's got lots of space in it right now, although I know, Claire, you're very busy, so maybe it doesn't have that much space in it. But if you imagine you've got lots and lots of time to speak to clients, they don't know that. You might only have 1 slot in the next 2 weeks, and you need to know if she can make that slot or 1 of 2 slots. Otherwise, it's going to be another month before you can speak to her. Think of it in those terms. If you have an absolutely jam-packed calendar full of clients, and you would send her a very different kind of email, right? We need to get this meeting in the nicest possible way. Let's speak. So that she doesn't just fill that space and never come back to you at all. Because also, you've done the work, and this is just a wrap-up call. So, yes, she's your friend. Yes, you want to be helpful, but also you need to be paid for the work that you've done, because you're a business.
Which she has been gushing about on email, which is really nice. So,
right. Where's the money?
I think for me as well, mentally, I just need to kind of get it off my radar and move on.
Totally. Yeah. Okay. Good luck with that.
Thank you.
I think that's it. Does anyone else have any other things that they want to raise today?
If we've got time, I was going to talk about the idea that I always seem to earn what I need to earn, and I never go over, which then causes problems, because in today's COVID world, things do get cancelled, and therefore it then doesn't work in my favor. And I don't know why I've got this. It's like a mindset. It's like I say, oh, I've made my, I don't know, £1,500, which is what I technically need to make every month to pay the bills. And I mean, again, I've got a partner who would pay the bills if I didn't earn anything, but I don't like that, to be in that situation. Sure. So, but I tend to get to that £1,500. I go, oh, I've done my money for the month. Bargain.
Yeah.
And I kind of look at next month, and then the next month, and then like today, some are supposed to have a branding photo shoot next week, and she just phoned to say that her daughter's got COVID. So could we postpone by a week? Again, it's no big deal. I've rebooked her, but now I'm like, well, if I'd actually worked harder, and I'd gone my monthly thing, then now I wouldn't be in a situation where I'm in now, where potentially this month I'm not going to hit the amount of money that I need. So it's just really how it's trying to get out of this, oh, I've earned the money that I need this month, and earn more, and it being okay to earn more.
Absolutely. I understand that completely. You need to read this book called have you read The Big Leap by Gay Hendricks?
No.
I'll just type it in the comments, although it looks like you're on the phone, so I can always message you later.
I think I can see. Yeah, I can take a photo of it.
Okay, so this book talks about upper limiting, which you've just described, and it's putting your own limit on what you think you could or should earn, achieve in life. You know, it's not all about money, and when you reach it, you pull back and go, I've done it now, I can relax. And that amount, this is the reason that people come to me and say, I just want to earn what I used to earn in my old job, and then I'll be happy, because that's the limit they think they have on themselves. Or the reason that when you reach your sort of £1,500, well, I know that's going to cover everything. I know I'll be okay. So now I don't need to do more. Yes, Katia, no worries. I'll send you a message. And you asked me a question about Rise as well, so I'll come back to you on that. I'll message you later. Lovely to see you. Do you have very specific goals in mind, or money goals in mind, beyond that need 15, you know, that need of that money to cover the bills? Do you have anything specific you would aim for?
I have, but I almost drop off the radar, and I get to, you know, if you ask me now, I'm like, oh yes, we need, like, for example, we moved into a new house a year ago, and it's fairly okay, but obviously we want to redecorate, and there's bits, and I would love to be able to have enough money to just literally just redecorate a room without even, you know, going, do you know what, we've got the money, let's buy a new sofa, let's buy a new TV, and paint and get it done. But when I'm in the pro, for some reason, I still find myself stopping at the money that I need and not the money that I want. And I don't know why. I just can't get my head around it.
Well, you've taken the first step, which is noticing you do it, because that's self-sabotage right there. You're getting to the point where you go, I could earn more, but I won't, because I've got my limit, I've got my numbers. Actually, you outlined earlier a very good reason to be taking at least one more step forward each month, and that's the fact that somebody might cancel. So if somebody cancels, your target really could be more than that, couldn't it? It could be more than 1,500. Maybe your target could be 1,700, and then if someone cancels, perhaps it won't be so bad. I don't know what your fees are. I think the way to tackle this is going to be to find your motivator beyond I need to cover the bills. Why do you want to grow the business? How much do you want to decorate that room? How much would it cost to decorate that room? Could you actually make that a short-term goal for the next 2-3 months to save up for that? And really do some work, maybe do some journaling, and find out exactly what it is that's driving you beyond just I need to cover the bills. Ideally, why would you like to earn more than 1,500 per month?
Because they literally cover bills and some savings, so it does actually cover a certain amount of savings. They are kind of immediate savings, so they're savings for holiday, savings for Christmas, savings, like I put a small like a small amount of money aside for the kids in case they need, last year my son needed 3 pairs of trainers in 1 month, so just like little bits like that, but they are immediate savings. They're not a big long-term saving goal. They just cover basic daily running costs, and yes, I would like to have enough money to say, do you know what, instead of saving for holidays, I could just go, do you know what, I've earned an extra £2,000 this month, can we just book a holiday? In my mind I would love that, but in reality, when I sit down to work, I still stop myself at that £1,500. I'm like, why?
Because it's too far away. We as humans, we're present biased. We think about what's happening now and in a week's time, and we know Christmas happens every year, but that holiday doesn't feel real to you. It's too far away. It's too pie in the sky. Try what you could do if you wanted to make those things more specific is just to find 1 or 2 things, like the holiday. Where are you going? How much does it cost? What is there a photo of it on the wall? What date would you like to fly, and what airline do you want to choose? And make those things very, very specific, because it seems to me that your life requires you to make £1,500 per month, but your lifestyle, the lifestyle you want, you actually need more. You need to be earning more to put money aside for those bigger things, and so that you're not sitting there at the same time next year with the same number that you're earning every month with the same problem. So I think it's about specificity, making it specific, so that you know why beyond today you want to earn that money.
Okay.
Does that make sense? You've got some specific goals.
Okay, so I need to physically write them down.
I would, yeah, take some time aside and make a little dream list, a list of dream things that you want to do, and then start to break it down and think, well, okay, if I want to do that, how much per month do I really need to make? What happens if I make 1 more client every month for 6 months? What would I then have, and what could I do with that money, and really kind of get into specifics. Does that make sense?
Yes, it does.
Fabulous. Okay, we've lost everyone else. So
okay.
I'll say goodbye to you. It's been lovely meeting you today, and I hope your baby feels better soon as well.
I'm sure fine. She's destroying the house now under the table. So.
Okay, I will leave you to it.
Okay, thank you, Marie.
Thanks so much, Ali. Bye-bye.